go. And we're back with the TheCubeMan NayRo Part 2. We are on Shakira's plateau. For some reason my brain is just not working. But on the top right we have NayRo, our pink Zerg. And in the top left we have the TheCubeMan, the light blue Terran. And for those of you who may have missed the first game, NayRo is the first player in the tournament to take a game off the TheCubeMan, who was our Group A champion, playing off race in Group B.
And
a little back and forth.
CubeMan with the GG, GL, HF, all spaces, and NayRo, of course, assuming cheese.
Absolutely, that is a fact of StarCraft. That anything besides good luck, have fun is an indication of cheese, and the more they try to engage you in the chat, the worse the cheese is going to be. We see NayRo pulling the extractor trick to get an extra, or not. I guess he was concerned about the supply for a second. He just pulled the extractor trick to make sure he didn't get supply blocked. But he's back to cranking drones.
Frick useless.
Yeah, I guess that explains it. The NayRo is playing from France, so his latency is going to be somewhat higher than us red-blooded Americans, you know.
Latency is even an issue with pro games when they have the gamers, the tournament players, play from their home and they don't fly them out. Like, what accounts you use is a huge deal. Especially, I watched the Tournament of Champions on IGN not too long ago, and I forget who it was, had to play Liquid Hero.
Yes.
From Europe to Korea, and he lost hard, and he then proceeded to rage hard about the latency.
Really?
Oh yes.
I mean, sometimes you see guys, tournament games go a little sour from time to time, but I've never seen anybody actually just start talking about the lag. I mean, that seems to me like a real amateur move, you know. When you, I mean, if you play any type of team game at all, whether it's a MOBA like League of Legends or Dota or whatever, or if you play shooters like Battlefield, Call of Duty, whatever, the second someone doesn't do something well, they're going to say to everyone lag. It's going to be, they're either typing out the word, they're saying it, oh, this fucking lag, I would have killed totally a headshot, all the time. And it just screams ignorance to me. I mean, if your connection's that bad that it's affecting your enjoyment of a game, get a better connection. If you can't get a better connection, learn to deal with it.
It does happen to me in League of Legends, though. I did eat like 8 turret shots in the last game because my character just stood there and I could not move him.
Well, I hope you announce it to the stream or to the entire game, lag, like this. Nice lag.
Like so.
Yeah, this is how you do it. I mean, I do understand that NayRo does have issues with this connection from time to time, but it's hard for us to tell on this end if it really is a problem or not. Like what he's actually seeing. But then again, the answer to everything, including latency, is macro. Macro hard and, A click, and maybe you don't see it as the other guy sees it, but you win. And that goes for all races. I mean, if you're 50 supply ahead as Terran, you're still going to be quite effective.
And here come the first Hellions. They're going straight over to do some damage.
Yeah, looks like they're going to check the Xel'Nagas quick. I mean, that's a pretty smart maneuver, but he is going to miss these Lings coming across. And that's going to be turned back around, but he is rallying more to the front here. But Slow Lings versus Hellions, a matchup a Terran player will take any day of the week.
Oh yes.
And these Hellions are not going to let these Lings go home.
No,
sorry guys, hope you wrote your letters.
I love watching Slowlings get chased down and burned to death.
Now this is something that I've been talking about a lot recently, that sometimes when you know you're going to lose your units, you have to just do as much damage as possible,
Yeah.
Like right here, he gets an excellent surround on 3 of those Hellions, so this Hellion push is all but done. And there you have it. On creep, speedlings. Not going to take any shit from Hellions. But I mean, it's like we've seen it in a couple games where I think one of them was Jerome versus Cert, where Marines were just doomed. They were speedlings. They were chasing him down. He wasn't going to get away, but he opted to just let them keep moving, which is I think a waste. If you're gonna die, you might as well go down swinging. If it's a sure thing. Now, if it's something where, you know, as long as you don't make a mistake, that, you know, everything's cool, then yeah. And here we have the Banes coming in right before the bunker finishes.
Oh,
none of those Marines are getting in. This Hellion's gonna get surrounded. He still has Banes left. He's not gonna be able to break through this front door so easy, especially with repairing SCVs and Hellions on the other side. But he could definitely come down and kill every SCV at the natural.
He's trying so hard to get in.
What is his choice here? Okay, he's going after the. So I mean, he's going to lose 2 mules out of the deals, which means, you know, that's a lot of energy wasted.
50 energy and 600 minerals.
And he's effectively holding the CubeMan to 1 base. Could we be seeing a sweep by NayRo of the before the series undefeated CubeMan, the Group A champion?
It's quite possible. No Terran likes to be in a position like this with your natural floated and a whole bunch of banelings in your natural.
And there go all the repairing SCVs. The Lings are inside. There goes another SCV. We have more Lings streaming to the front. I mean, the supply is just about even with the CubeMan having a slight lead, but what is that really going to mean when he's in his base? And he's going right for the mineral line. See that? I think that little moment of indecisiveness right there may cost him, as he went after the SCVs and back to the Hellions and back to the SCVs. Maybe that Baneling morph wasn't the best choice either, but
at times like that, it's good to know exactly how many units that you have counter exactly how many they have.
Oh yeah, and he's not currently producing anything right now. I mean, his natural isn't saturated. I mean, he's in a very strong position, but it's only going to last for so long before the CubeMan's back and mining at his natural. Plus, with a floating orbital, it still gets energy. So when he lands, it's more mules. I mean, it's, you know, I know a lot of guys hate mules, but it is one of the ways Terran counters being, you know, blocked from mining.
Yeah, during that push, NayRo wasn't producing any drones. So I initially thought it was going to be an all-in, but apparently it wasn't.
Yeah, it looks like he's
he
just...
thought he had it. He thought he had it, just didn't realize how strong Hellions were against Slings.
Well, he is reactoring Hellions out 2 at a time, and he does have he was very well saturated in his main. It was early enough that he didn't have to worry about being mined out. And here comes the counter push. This is a lot of Hellions, and he knows what he's dealing with. He's dealing with Lings and Banes. But this is a very strong position at the front door for NayRo. To break this would take, you know, a pretty significant amount of control, and even then it may be with only very few units.
2 giant pokey things.
Yeah, it's a it's a tentacle with a beak. This doesn't even seem right.
It looks like that might either turn CubeMan around or cause him to wait for some more reinforcements.
Well, what it is, I mean, the most important thing that's going to do is keep NayRo on 2 bases. He's not going to be able to take that third with the CubeMan's army floating around outside. And now he's going to leave a Hellion behind just so he knows when he decides to go for that. And also, with a little bit of luck or some real good situational awareness, he could pick off that drone going that way with 1 Hellion. Mm-hmm. Especially if he's standing on the spot where the hatch is supposed to go down.
NayRo does have an overload over there, though.
Yeah, he knows it's there. He's going to have to do something about it before he sends the drone down. But I mean, as a strategy right there, he could catch that drone coming up, and that's one of the more annoying things you can do to someone: catch their building SCV, catch their, you know, their drone on the way to build something.
And here come the roaches for NayRo. Proper response to quite a few Hellions.
Yeah, that's another thing that's interesting about this matchup, is that with that kind of commitment to Hellions early, the Zerg player doesn't know if he's going to have to deal with them all game. So, I mean, the obvious answer to Hellions would be roaches, but if he comes with a Bioforce, roaches really aren't going to cut it. And he has seen Marauders. So I would be surprised if we see many more roaches from NayRo. Looks like he's going to take his third, but he's going to take it in the front. He's not going to take that that long distance one. And it looks like the CubeMan took out that T6SROF that was scouting the, I guess you can call it the fourth. Another thing I just realized is that when you move your camera from the high ground to the low ground, it drops down a little bit.
It does, and it's slightly annoying sometimes.
Yeah. Thought I was zooming in and out by accident. And here comes the Marauder Hellion push. I mean, this is going to stop this third in its tracks. There's no way that's going to stand. And he's going to go for the cancel. Now, he does have a couple medevacs here, but, well, now I see why he opted for the medevacs. He does have a significant bioforce behind those Hellions. But as of yet, all that the CubeMan has shown NayRo has been a lot of Hellions, a couple Marauders. So, this is still a very difficult read for NayRo when it comes to countering what is most likely incoming. Hey, if you take a look at the supply, he's at a 46 supply lead right now.
Holy cow. Macro, there it is.
Oh yeah, and he's taking, I guess, what you could call his fourth. He took his third in the fourth position. And he's just going to fall back and play a little defensive until he's able to establish it.
Yep. Because he knows that that NayRo's on only 2 bases. He tried to expand, and that was shut down, so he's probably feeling pretty safe with his third.
Yeah, I mean, the position of his army right there just says a lot. I mean, he hasn't seen any scouting lanes come out. He hasn't seen overlords floating around. He does have medevac, so it takes away that safety net of being able to sit on the high ground. Looks like we are going to see an engagement here. Really catch him while his tanks are unsieged. Looks like that is the case. Looks
He
like
did only have 3 tanks.
He only has 2 tanks, but those are doing serious work on his army. I mean, you can't understate splash damage. And now the supply lead is effectively double.
Terrible, terrible damage.
He hits the weak spot for massive damage. And what once looked like a sure thing for NayRo has become a pretty scary situation. He's now dealing with a 3-base Terran off 2 bases, and he's had his expansion denied twice. The creep spread is minimal. I mean, there's really nothing going right for NayRo right now, and, you know, he's having to readjust his army comp. He does have an infestation pit, but he doesn't seem to be going with many infestors, if any at all.
He's waiting for pathogen glands to come up, which just finished, and it seems that both of these players are on the same upgrades.
Yeah. I mean, that's NayRo is one. He does enjoy, you know, having those early upgrades, but I think the early latency problems plus the frustration of a sure thing attack being turned around. I mean,
oh yeah, that's always frustrating.
I think he's a little off center right now, which is exactly what you want. I mean, as a StarCraft player, the idea is to stop people from doing what they want to do. Don't let them be comfortable and confident and, you know, aggressive and whatever else they want to be. And he's going to catch these tanks unsieged again.
Oh.
This could be devastating for the CubeMan. Does he have enough to take out the Bioforce? The answer to that one is no. And this may be enough to kick this front door in unless we see some perfect fungals. But he doesn't have enough energy for a second one right now, and those medevacs are just going to repair all that damage. This looks like it might be GG for our friend NayRo.
Stim Marines in the base? Yeah.
Lots of medevacs. He does have a macro hatch. He is hitting his injects, but our 11 roaches is going to be enough to counter what he's got out front. Well, 11 roaches minus the ones that are going to die instantaneously upon spawning.
I don't think so.
And those rally points aren't going to help anybody. Especially with concussive shells.
Here come the reinforcements to finish it off.
Oh yeah. Very well played game by the CubeMan, showing his dominance once again in this TBZ matchup. He's actually spoken to me about this matchup in particular, and I'm assuming it's because of his main race being Zerg, but this is his favorite matchup as an off race, is Terran versus Zerg, which may be oh, NayRo. NayRo was bad after this one, man. He sent me. I actually want to pull up his email, but he was upset in the recap.
I think any lower level player would have died to that initial pressure.
And that may be something to say in NayRo's credit here. NayRo is not a diamond level player. TheCubeMan is a diamond level player, but he's not a diamond level player as Terran. But it doesn't really affect his understanding of the game. He still knows when to expand. He still knows, you know, he still is focused on saturating everything. I mean, look at his saturation in his natural. I mean, his main is completely
Perfect.
mined out. His saturation, his natural, is near mathematically perfect, if not. His third is completely saturated, and he has his fourth morphing into an orbital right now. I mean, that's just an excellent game played by someone who doesn't play Terran all the time, but I'm assuming learned this matchup from the other side, where he was the Zerg player, and learned what works against against himself, and is using that against our Zergs in Group B.